right, Vikings Nation. Let me ask you something. What if I told you the Minnesota Vikings have not completely closed the door on trading for a superstar quarterback? Yeah, we're talking names like Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. Now, before you lose your mind, before Twitter explodes, and before people start yelling, "Trust JJ McCarthy," relax, because this situation is a lot more complicated and honestly a lot more fascinating than it sounds. Today, we're breaking down why this door is still open, what Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah are really thinking, what a trade like this would actually cost, and whether this is smart team building or pure fantasy. But first, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and help us hit our goal of 4,000 subscribers. If you want real Vikings talk with no sugarcoating, this is the place. Let's get into it.
All eyes are on the quarterback position in Minnesota, and honestly, they should be. This week, both Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell made it crystal clear that their top offseason priority is building the deepest quarterback room possible. Not just one guy, not just hope, depth, competition, insurance. And according to ESPN's Kevin Seifert, the Vikings have not ruled out deep-sea fishing at quarterback, meaning if a true superstar somehow becomes available, Minnesota will at least listen. That doesn't mean they're aggressively shopping, but it does mean the door isn't locked. Kevin Seifert went on KFan this week and dropped a line that caught everyone's attention. He said he couldn't find anyone inside the Vikings organization willing to flat-out deny interest in a quarterback like Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson. And that matters, because when insiders won't shut something down, that usually means there's at least some smoke. Let's start with Joe Burrow. Burrow made headlines in December when he admitted he was unhappy, frustrated with losing, and not having fun playing football. That sent the entire NFL media into chaos. Statistically, Burrow's still elite. Stats around 68% completion rate, multiple 4,000-yard seasons, led the Bengals to a Super Bowl appearance, one of the best pocket processors in football. And here's the key part for Minnesota. If Burrow ever forced his way out of Cincinnati, the Bengals would almost certainly want him out of the AFC. That immediately puts the Vikings near the top of the list. And let's not ignore the obvious. Joe Burrow and Justin Jefferson already dominated college football together. That connection is very real. Lamar Jackson is a little trickier. There were credible reports earlier that Lamar could be traded this offseason, but that was before the Ravens moved on from John Harbaugh. The expectation now is that Baltimore will hire a coach who fully builds around Lamar's skill set and tries to calm things down. Still, Lamar is a former NFL MVP, a nightmare to defend, and someone Kevin O'Connell could absolutely get creative with. But let's be real, the odds of Lamar becoming available are much lower than Burrow's. Other names floating around in extreme scenarios include Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford, Baker Mayfield. Do I think any of those guys get traded? Probably not. But here's the reminder. 1 year ago, a Luka Doncic trade felt impossible too. The NFL surprises people all the time. Then there's the medium tier of quarterbacks who could realistically shake loose. Kyler Murray, Kirk Cousins, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Anthony Richardson, Tua Tagovailoa. Kyler Murray is the most interesting here. Arizona essentially soft-benched him this season, favoring Jacoby Brissett at times. That's a massive red flag, and it screams that Kyler could be traded or even released. Mac Jones and Anthony Richardson would also bring intrigue simply because of their first-round pedigree, even if they haven't lived up to expectations yet. Now let's talk reality. The Vikings are currently $30 to $40 million over the salary cap. That means cuts, restructures, pain. They've stockpiled roughly 9 draft picks for 2026 to help offset that. A trade for Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson, you're talking about 3 first-round picks, minimum, possibly more. That's franchise-altering capital, and that's why this conversation is so delicate. Here's the bottom line. If JJ McCarthy stays healthy and blossoms into a legitimate franchise quarterback in 2026, this entire conversation becomes irrelevant. Life gets easy, the cap becomes manageable, the future stays intact. But if there's doubt, if the Vikings feel they're one elite QB away, they haven't closed the door. As a Vikings fan, I don't think Minnesota wants to trade for a superstar quarterback, but I do believe they're smart enough to listen if the phone rings. That's good leadership. You don't force it, you don't mortgage the future blindly, but you stay ready. Now I want to hear from you, Vikings Nation. Would you trade 3 first-round picks for Joe Burrow? Would Lamar Jackson be worth the risk? Or do you ride with J.J. McCarthy and build around him? Drop your takes in the comments. Let's debate. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and help us hit 4,000 subscribers. Vikings Nation, I need you to buckle up for this one, because what I'm about to talk about today could completely change the future of this franchise. There's a trade scenario floating around the league right now that would replace J.J. McCarthy with a $275 million elite franchise quarterback. Yeah, we're talking about Joe Burrow. Is this realistic? Is this insane? Or is this the exact type of bold move the Vikings have never made, but maybe should? We're breaking it all down right now. But before we do, real quick, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and help us reach our goal of 4,000 subscribers here on Report Vikings. Your support really means everything. All right, let's talk quarterback. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth. J.J. McCarthy is once again dealing with an injury, a hairline fracture in his throwing hand. And this isn't a one-off. This is now the fourth serious injury in just 2 NFL seasons. Now, to be fair, before getting hurt, McCarthy was playing better. The processing improved, the confidence was growing, but availability matters. And from both a health perspective and a performance consistency perspective, it's very hard for the Vikings to feel fully confident about building the future around him. That's why the most logical plan, financially, has been add a veteran like Joe Flacco as insurance, or bring in competition like Malik Willis, or even explore a trade for someone like Anthony Richardson. Cheap, short-term, flexible. That's been the Vikings' QB philosophy under Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell since day one. But then, Joe Burrow's name entered the chat. According to Jonathan Jones from CBS Sports, the Vikings could become a real player in the Joe Burrow trade market if it develops this offseason. And what makes this interesting is Burrow himself. Joe Burrow has openly said he's not having fun playing football. He's frustrated with the situation in Cincinnati, and after being eliminated from playoff contention, he didn't deny thinking about not finishing his career with the Bengals. That matters, because when elite quarterbacks start thinking like that, things can escalate quickly. Jones specifically mentioned the Vikings, along with teams like the Steelers, Colts, and Rams, as potential suitors depending on how the offseason unfolds. And now, we have to ask the hard question. What if the Vikings had Joe Burrow instead of J.J. McCarthy? Let's talk facts. Joe Burrow is not just good. He is one of the 4 or 5 best quarterbacks in the entire NFL when healthy. Career numbers: 20,269 passing yards, 68.3% completion percentage, 152 touchdowns, 50 interceptions. He's a former Super Bowl quarterback, a 2-time Pro Bowler, a 2-time Comeback Player of the Year, finished top 4 in MVP voting twice. He's led the NFL in completion percentage, passing yards, passing touchdowns, pass attempts, and completions. Put Joe Burrow in Kevin O'Connell's offense with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, man, that's terrifying. Now, let's slow down, because there's a reason this isn't easy. Joe Burrow is 29 years old, under contract through 2029 on a $275 million deal. His trade value? 3 first-round picks and then some. On top of that, the Vikings are currently projected to be about $36 million over the salary cap. And Burrow has his own injury history. Missed 6 games as a rookie, missed 7 games in 2023, and is set to miss at least 10 games this season. So yeah, this would be expensive, risky, and completely against how the Vikings usually operate. But here's the flip side. Teams without an elite quarterback almost never win Super Bowls, and elite quarterbacks do not become available in their prime. If Joe Burrow forces his way onto the trade market, you have to at least pick up the phone, even if it means throwing past trends out the window, even if it means taking a massive swing. Because the question isn't, is Joe Burrow expensive? The real question is, how long can the Vikings afford to keep searching for the guy? As a Vikings fan, I'll say this. I love the idea of developing J.J. McCarthy. I respect the patient approach. But if a generational quarterback like Joe Burrow is truly available, you owe it to this roster, this fan base, and Justin Jefferson's prime to seriously consider it. Now, I want to hear from you. Would you trade multiple first-round picks for Joe Burrow, or do you stick with McCarthy and build slowly? Drop your take in the comments. Let's argue it out. And don't forget, like the video, subscribe to Report Vikings. Help us hit 4,000 subscribers. This is Victor. Thanks for watching. Skull.